Hello, we're back again.
Hi. Today we're going to talk about light being communication, the Augmentation of Man, Chapter 4, pages 68 to 70. It'll be called Light is a Communication Tool.
And we are Kent and Renee Miller.
So let's go start.
Okay.
Telephone and internet communications, they travel over fiber optics, which is fairly new in our society, but has been around for about, 20 years or so. And fiber optics brings so-called light. And
you can see the light at the end of the fiber optics in this fiber optic lamp.
Yeah.
And so
light travels over strings of charged atoms, and it's called the plasmic cords.
So the plasmic cords of the source network and the Neuronet work very similar to these fiber optic cords, where the light travels down through the cord, and it's not a light energy like this. It's an invisible light, but they do refer to it as a communicative light.
Yeah, so source is the communication for higher intellectual learning, which actually is the beginning of the Neuronet. You want to explain the Neuronet?
So it's a network that we believe it's not static, that it forms when a communication is established. So you have a student who has a strong desire to learn, and then they are paired up with an entity, a teacher, if you will, and then the atoms within the atmosphere start to vibrate, and then these charged atoms start to coagulate into these strings, and those form a network that is called the Neuronet at our level.
So it's it's a tool for communication. It's an energy, an intelligent type of energy.
The light is, it's an intelligent, communicative energy.
So it connects to all that is and all that was.
Right. So everything that has ever existed, and then everything that exists at this time. So that information can be accessed off of it once we have the ability to do that, which most people don't.
So
at this time,
we can actually say light is communication.
It's a communicative tool.
Yeah. Okay. With that,
and let me interrupt you for a minute. A lot of people overuse the phrase love and light, and we're using it incorrectly. Our definition of love is different from the universal definition of love. Our definition of light is different from the universal definition of light. So the way that we have been taught, we're bringing that information forward in a universal sense, how the universe uses these terms.
Okay, so thought entities deliver this higher understanding through the light, which is basically, in our words, in our lower words, verbiage.
Right, and we're going to tell you a little bit more how that works. And so the understanding is delivered in thoughts, and we're going to get a little bit more in depth with how that works.
So the energy is diffused down, information is simplified, and it travels from its point of origin,
which would be the creator,
down to us. Much like we explained that electricity is how it begins at the power plant and ends up at our house. What happens?
You can touch on that real quick.
Well, we don't need to repeat that. I don't know. but it has to be transformed, goes to substations, and a couple of substations before it gets to your home, which goes to transformers out in front of your house, because your home cannot handle the raw energy coming out of the source, which is where the energy is manufactured. So with that,
then this communication system works much the same.
Yeah, and so this is not visible light that we're talking.
Right. It's not. So Creator releases the instructions to the light beings, what information needs to be released at this time. So it's continuous. It's not like all the information is out there and we have access to anything. It's not. It's what we have access to, what we're able to understand at our current level. So the Creator releases it to the light beings. The light beings release the light. They release the thought.
Unseen.
It's an unseen energy. It is a thought, a vibrational thought communication. And so we're getting into science now. We're talking about vibration. We're talking about a resonance, a wave pattern that is released to source. Now, source, although it makes sense to call Creator source, source is a part of the Creator for communicative purposes, but is not the Creator itself. Source is an intellectual network that begins the Neuronet. It's the beginning of the Neuronet, but it's for a highly intelligent communication. And certainly humans are not there yet.
It's like the nerve pattern, I guess, like our own nerves.
And then it travels these pathways that innervate with nerves, pushing that light along along the source network and along the Neuronet. And so
we know what a light really is. It's condensed particle energy.
It travels through this dense particle energy. Okay. So that is what differentiates it from visible light. It travels this dense particle cloud of, I suppose it's the charged atoms.
All those that understand this, not how many, because we don't have the number, but who can connect to this the Neuronet, the plasmic cords?
We asked recently. We were told 5%.
5% of the world population?
Of the world population currently can access the Neuronet.
Have the ability. Now, whether they try to or not is totally different than having the ability.
A higher percent is able to access their higher self. Yeah. So that is where we have stored information from going back eons, multiple lifetimes, learning fields that we are able to, when we can reconnect to our higher self, then we are able to access that stored information and bring it forth into this lifetime.
So the Neuronet contains, it's a path that everything travels.
It's a network, and it's for a quick reference.
Yeah, so it can go one way or it can go two ways. It can go...
I think it's a one-way because
it's a parallel pathway, though.
The entities, when you have an entity communication, it travels a parallel pathway to the Neuronet. It's not a part of the Neuronet, but it runs parallel to. That is a one or two-way communication with another entity. The Neuronet is just a one-way communication that you can tap into for brief understanding.
Yeah. So creative energy. Who can actually tap into the higher understanding of the creative energy? What does it take to be able to tap in?
So when somebody has this burning desire to learn,
but you have to have a burning desire.
You have to have that burning desire. You really are searching for the truth. That emits a very bright light that these entities see, and they're able to discern when you are ready for this teacher-student relationship.
Then how do they assign mentors or guides?
So the love of Source, which would be the love of that communication, to be a part of the universal network of information sharing. When you really love that and you desire to learn and be a part of that network where you are also sharing that information with others, that is a determining factor for which mentors are assigned to you. So the love of source and your current level of understanding is going to determine who is assigned to you as a teacher, and that is determined by source.
So the mentors basically are a part of the creative process to communicate a higher level of understanding.
So they're assigned by creator indirectly through source, and they are part of the creative process. So that's mentioned a lot in the book. Creative process, creative energy is talking about that communication that comes from a higher entity that is delivering a higher level of understanding.
So it creates a teacher-student relationship within yourself. The student that receives the communication, the teacher that gives it through telepathic communication or unseen energy. Okay, so with that in mind, how do we explain the linear field of learning? First of all, what is a linear field of learning?
So this is a term that's in chapter 4. Linear is the sequential steps that we are taking in our learning process. So we're talking, we can't download all this information at once. We just simply can't assimilate the information. It would cause a real disruption in our understanding. So we take little baby steps, and one step follows another. And in fact, our guides have said step 2 does not come before step 1. So we have to understand that it takes these baby steps, and we're forming our base understanding, which is very important to spend a lot of time with the simple part of understanding, forming your base understanding, because that's going to create a solid foundation for everything else that you start to learn.
Well, the base understanding, the forms of patterns, those are all basically, they're mathematics.
Yeah, so all these thought processes go back to a waveform. Your thought, it's a waveform. It forms these patterns that form the mathematical sequences,
clusters, right?
And that make up the thought. And this applies also to the communicative thought. So as that communicative thought is traveling telepathically from a mentor to a student, then the thoughts are made up of millions or billions of vibrational waves, and those are clustered together into a single wave form that forms a mathematical sequence, and then that sequence forms a pattern that makes up the words and the word sequences. So that vibrational wave is passing through the neuronet, through the atmosphere. It gets to our
self,
our
which is
sphere.
Calorium flap comes into.
And we've got this aura around our body, which is really the shadow of our life force. Within the aura, right in front of the abdomen, right in front of where, the chi is mentioned in Asian spiritual spirituality. But
chi has to do with the energy.
The chi has to do with where the life force energy comes in. But in the same area, the communicative energy enters in, and this is around, right in front of the navel.
And this is why you're meditating. This is what you're going to get.
So while you're meditating, you are actually raising your own vibration. And through that vibration, this Calorium flap starts to vibrate, and it opens, and it's within the aura. It's not on the body. It's right in front of the body, in front of the navel, and it opens up. And it allows the communication to be initiated to your physical self.
Is there a megahertz that are associated with this, or no?
It is like 8.33. I don't know. It's in the book. Yeah. It's a long number. But it's a megahertz that's adapted to our level and our physical body, to not be injurious to the body. So it acts almost like another transformer of sorts, where it also diffuses that energy down and simplifies the communication even further before it enters the body. And from there, it travels up the chakras, we're going to get into this in the future, and this is going to be rough for people.
It's going to be...
Chakras in the U.S.
We're not going to get into that.
It's
Yeah,
become dogmatic,
yet,
and people have a really hard time with this.
It's going to take a whole nother series.
Just start to digest this one. The communication comes through your chakras.
Okay, don't go in.
Comes up to the brain, and the cerebral cortex, which is the outer part of the brain, starts to, in a meditative state, it starts to integrate all of these
words,
the words, the feelings, the tones, the visions that all come from the chakras, and it puts it together to a complete communication. And it's done in sequences as these vibrations enter the body. The first one enters, forms the first word, and then the second and the third. And so you end up with a sentence.
Okay.
So there you have it.
With that, we explained the best we could, the way we understand this particular chapter in the pages, and
how communication works.
How the communication
on a scientific level.
Yeah, a scientific level works better than the one-to-one here on the level of the human being. The communication process here on Earth is something. I'll put it that way. But with that, I hope you learned the understanding of light being communicative, and we hope that you go back to the book and read those pages again, get more understanding, and visit our YouTube sites.
All of these are on YouTube, on our channel, Kent and Renee Miller. There's a couple on another channel. Somehow
we're going to try to link all those on the same channel.
If we can figure it out. But it was under the title of the book, The Augmentation of Man. Also, the blog. The blog goes into much more detail. That is on the website. So all past blogs can be accessed at our website, verdiance.com. That's V as in Victor, E-R, D as in dog, I-A-N as in Nancy, C as in cat, E, verdiance.com.
Okay. With that, have a great day, great week, and we'll see you in a couple of days.
Blessed be your path to learning. Take care.